All right, today we are diving into a piece of tech that I swear every developer has a love-hate relationship with: Node.js. You see, it's a true double-edged sword. It can be an incredibly sharp, powerful tool for some jobs and just dangerously clumsy for others. So let's get into it. And that really is the central question, isn't it? How can the same exact tool be a total rocket ship for some of the fastest apps on the web, but also become a dead weight, an anchor that just grinds everything to a halt? Well, that's the paradox we're going to unravel today. I mean, just look at this. It really says it all. On one side, you've got Node handling 10,000 live chat users without breaking a sweat. Effortless. But on the other side, a single heavy image calculation can make the whole thing just choke. How is that even possible? Well, it all comes down to its very unique core design. To really get this, we have to start with its biggest strength, which is, funnily enough, also its biggest weakness. We're talking about the power of having just one thread. Now, I know that sounds completely backwards. How could one be better than, say, 8 or 16? Well, it's all about how that one thread works. The secret sauce here is a concept called non-blocking I/O. So think about a waiter at a restaurant. A normal system is kind of like a really inefficient waiter. He takes your order, walks it to the kitchen, and then just stands there, waiting for the food to be cooked before he does anything else. The entire restaurant would just grind to a halt, right? Well, Node.js is different. Node.js is our super efficient waiter. So a request comes in, say, to grab some data from the database. Our waiter, the single thread, takes the order, hands it to the kitchen, and then, this is the key, immediately turns around to take the next customer's order, and the next, and the next. Then, when the kitchen shouts order up, our waiter gets a little tap on the shoulder, grabs the food, and delivers it, all while having served a ton of other people in the meantime. It's genius. And the result of this whole system is just staggering. We're talking about the ability to handle 10,000 simultaneous connections on pretty basic hardware. 10,000! This is exactly why Node became the king of real-time applications. Things like chat apps, online gaming, live collaboration tools. It's literally built for that world of constant back-and-forth chatter. But wait, there's more. The other massive win for Node was using JavaScript on the server. You know, for ages, you had to write your front end in JavaScript and your back end in something completely different, like Java or PHP. Node.js just erased that line. Suddenly, you could use one language for everything. No more mental gymnastics, you can share code between the client and server, and you get to tap into this enormous pool of JavaScript developers and an ecosystem with, get this, over 2 million packages on NPM. It's huge. Okay, so Node sounds pretty perfect, right? Well, now we have to talk about the other edge of that sword. Because that incredible single thread, that super efficient waiter, it's not just a powerful engine. It's also a single point of failure. This quote right here just nails it. That efficient waiter model we love, it's fantastic for all those quick, simple orders. But what happens if a customer orders some incredibly complex, 10-course meal that forces our waiter to personally stand in the kitchen and supervise it for an hour? Well, that's what we call a CPU bottleneck. If our waiter, our single thread, gets stuck doing some heavy lifting, like a complex math problem or encrypting a huge file, it can't do anything else. It is completely, totally monopolized. The non-blocking magic just vanishes, and the entire restaurant, our whole application, comes to a dead stop. And I really want you to picture this because it's so important. While that one heavy task is chugging along, literally nothing else is happening. New requests from users, they just pile up. Live chat messages, they're stuck in limbo. Your user interface, totally frozen. The application is, for all intents and purposes, dead. This is the absolute catastrophic failure mode of Node.js. And if you've been around the Node world for a while, you've probably had nightmares about this other classic pitfall, callback hell. See, to manage all its async stuff, early Node code ended up with these deeply nested functions. It created this infamous pyramid of doom that you see here. It is an absolute nightmare to try and read, let alone debug. Now, modern JavaScript has much better tools like promises and async await, but trust me, this beast still lurks in a lot of older projects. So with this crazy dual nature, this whole Jekyll and Hyde thing, how do you actually decide when to use Node? Well, it really just comes down to that old saying, use the right tool for the right job. So let's get practical. Okay, let's talk about the sweet spot. Node.js is the undisputed champion for anything that's heavy on I/O, lots of waiting for networks or databases, but light on calculations. Think real-time apps like chat and gaming. It's why Slack is built on it. It's absolutely fantastic for building blazing fast API servers and microservices. Huge companies like Netflix and PayPal rely on it for exactly this. And it's also amazing for data streaming and for startups that need to build an MVP, like yesterday. Now, for the flip side, here's the danger zone. Do not use Node.js for anything that's CPU intensive. Seriously. We're talking video encoding, machine learning, heavy scientific simulations. For those kinds of jobs, you're going to have a much better time with languages like Python, Go, or Rust. And, for those giant, complex, monolithic enterprise apps, you're probably better off with the structure of something like Java or .NET. But hold on, what if your app is mostly I/O bound, but you still have the occasional heavy task? Does that mean you just can't use Node? No, not at all. You're not defenseless. You just have to be smart about it. The key is to wield that double-edged sword wisely. Okay, here's your playbook, your survival guide. First, and this is the big one, offload that CPU-heavy work. Don't do it on your main thread. Use something called worker threads, or even better, a totally separate microservice to handle the number crunching. This keeps your main waiter free to serve customers. Second, please use TypeScript. It adds type safety that catches a ton of bugs before they ever make it to production. And third, you have to monitor your event loop. Use tools that can tell you if it's getting blocked, so you can fix it before your users even notice. We also need to have a serious talk about the NPM ecosystem. Remember those 2 million packages? It's an incredible resource, but man, it is the Wild West. You've got your gold standard packages that are perfectly maintained, but then you've got risky ones that might have had security issues, and a whole lot of abandoned packages that haven't been updated in years. Let that sink in for a second. Every single time you type npm install, you are placing your trust in hundreds, sometimes thousands, of complete strangers. So being vigilant, auditing your dependencies, and picking packages that have a strong active community, that's not just a good idea, it's absolutely essential for survival. All right, let's bring it all home. What's the final verdict? Well, the good stuff is still very true. Node is basically unbeatable for those I/O-heavy apps, and it has that massive JS ecosystem. But the bad stuff is also still very relevant. Those CPU limits are baked in, the quality of NPM packages is a total minefield, and the constant change in the ecosystem can be just exhausting. At the end of the day, I think this quote says it all, really. Node.js isn't good or bad. It's a tool. And Hammer is perfect for nails, but it's absolutely terrible for screws. The mark of a truly great developer isn't just knowing how to use one tool really well, it's knowing which tool to pull out of the toolbox for the specific job you have in front of you. So now I want to turn it over to you. Whether you've built something incredible with Node or you've been totally burned by its limitations, I'm sure you have a story. So what has been your best, or maybe your worst, experience with this double-edged sword? Let us know. Thanks for tuning in.